Yo, what up? Welcome to Fantasy Fade House, presented by Redzone In the Lab. We are in the building looking at some fantasy wide receivers today to see which one of these guys you need to draft or try to trade for if you already in a dynasty. And some of y'all that's 1, 2, 3 games had that first pick in that dynasty draft, maybe looking to upgrade. We're going to go over some NFC wide receivers, and we're going to take a little closer look at Terry, Jahan, and also Luke McCaffrey. Today, Tipp Major is going to join us to see, do we have LMC or do we have just a regular old Luke McCaffrey? And also on the other side, we're going to bring Tipp on, man. We're going to talk some fantasy wide receivers. And after the show, we're definitely going to talk some Commanders on the other channel. But without further ado, let's get into it. What is going on, Tipp? How are you doing today, buddy? We definitely appreciate you joining us today. I had that intro, but I never converted it, so I had to add it as a as a as a presentation to stream y'all, and Tipp know what I'm talking about. Some of you guys out there know what I'm talking about. That's why I didn't come through better flushed than that, because this is actually our Redzone DC media channel. If you noticed, I have a different channel that's specifically Commanders, and then we have the media channel where we talk all NFL, fantasy, boxing, all different types of stuff with different podcasts. We have a few different shows, but we are here talking fantasy. Tipp, glad you can join us today. Welcome, buddy. How are you today?
Redzone in the Lab. What is on? What's on and popping, bro? I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a long time, man. I mean, I feel like I've known you talking on X and DMing each other and different groups, but I don't know you, man. So it's like, yo, all right, we get to finally meet. I've seen you obviously, and but this is cool, man. This is cool. We get to actually meet and hang out for a little bit, and of course, talk fantasy. I mean, I love it.
Most definitely, man. We got somebody on the team, C. Henry, man. He loves this fantasy. I only really talk it a few months, but they talk about it on our other show. They have a segment, they talk about it all year long. And I'm just getting into like Dynasty. I did my first year last year and on Sleeper app, and I love it. But yeah, man, but before we get started, like I know who your team is, right? But sometimes like when you get into fantasy and you talk to fantasy guys, it's like it seems like it's hard to have an actual team, because like fantasy is players, and you're so caught up in all the players that you might kind of like lose grip of your actual team. So where are you when it comes to NFL fandom?
I mean, look, I'm a Raiders fan. I've been a Raiders fan since the day I could remember. And what did it for me was Bo Jackson. Getting to see Bo Jackson play football in that silver and black, I just was like,
yeah.
That was it for me. So, and they just kept on going from there. So for me, I'm a Raiders fan, and I will always have the Raiders in my heart, right? But I'm also a fantasy football fan. So, it raises the question, what do I do when it comes to my Raiders players? Mm-hmm. Well, if I feel like it's somebody who's valuable, or if somebody who's going to do well on my team, like a Devontae Adams, like this year is Zamir White, or hey, even a Brock Bowers, hell yeah, I'm picking them. Those are my guys. And I'm going to root them on just like I would, any of my other teams. Now, it doesn't deter me from picking Cowboys or Eagles. Those are teams I don't necessarily like, or the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are teams I don't really root for. But if I see a player on there that I like, the way they play or their stats, or maybe they're up and coming, I'm gonna play them. I'm gonna pick them up. I'm gonna draft them. I mean, I had several teams last year. I had CeeDee Lamb on my squad, AJ Brown. I had Scary Terry on my team. I even had Patrick Mahomes as my quarterback, and I can't stand the Chiefs. But hey, this is about individuality. This is about winning your individual league. So you got to throw all of that out the window. I was talking to several people in the industry, and one of the things that they say is never draft or never go with your heart. So if you are a diehard Commanders fan, there's going to be circumstances where you're going to get a Cowboy on your team. I know it's like irking you to hear that, but there's circumstances where you're going to get an Ezekiel Elliott this year or a CeeDee Lamb or a Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
But hey, you have to be able to differentiate or separate the two.
Yeah, man. So like your journey in content, obviously it all starts with us. It all starts with the game of football itself. But like, did it always start with fantasy? Like, how did your content journey start?
Man, okay, so it's been a very short journey to start off. I just started March of last year. I was talking to a group of friends, and I was doing really well. I've always done really well in those leagues. I've been playing in this league since 2005. I've had maybe 2-3 seasons where I didn't make the playoffs, and I got several championships in that league. And we always talking a lot of junk, how it is, and a lot of the stuff that I create or I come up with this content is off of the smack talking that we have done.
Yeah.
So that's where it started off, man. It started off with that smack talk, with that, going back and forth, talking about each other's players or each other's teams, and then just kind of pulling that into, okay, now I can not only pull out content, but I can also try and help people too. And that's kind of what it's really, for me, it's really big about helping people. If any way I can help, any way I can, I'm the type that everybody else will go one way and I will go the complete opposite way, but I got a reason why I go a complete opposite way, and I can feed that to somebody or let them know that that's what helps me. That's what's important to me.
Yeah, for sure. What's the weirdest or craziest team name that you ever came across?
Oh man, I mean,
I know it got to be a lot. I mean,
yeah,
almost 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, and you had some show me your TDs. That one's popular. A lot of people now. You got with Michael Penix in the mix.
Gosh. Yeah,
I saw one not too long ago that said my Penix is bigger than yours. I was like, wow, all right, okay. Like my team, I keep it pretty simple, but I also kind of got a little. I don't know. I used to listen to this record called Raucous Records back in the day, Sound Bombing, and they had this group called this. I don't even know if they were a group really, but they had this team called these guys called the Bum Rush Brothers, and I always loved that, and I was like, oh, I love Bum Rush Brothers. So mine has always been Bum Rush Brothers. I'll always keep that name. I try to change it up a little bit, like I'll put like Bum Rush Brothers 2 or Bum Rush Brothers 3 or whatever, like how many leagues I'm in, so I won't get too confused. But yeah, it's always been Bum Rush Brothers for me. Let's see another weird name. I got one guy in my league. He named, what was his? It was a playoff of Lamar Jackson. I can't remember the name of it, man. But I'll tell you what. If it comes to mind, I'll be like, I'll just blurt it out.
Blurt it out, yeah.
Like,
that'll
you'll
work.
You'll be like, what is he spazzing out? Nah, that's just me remembering what the dude's team's name was. But no, yeah. So man, I got some characters in my league, man, and the nastier the better for them. So I try to keep it PG-13, but these guys there's some curmudgeons.
You gotta keep it fun, man.
Yeah.
Have you had like a actual in-person draft? Like I've always wanted to do that. I haven't never been able to. When everybody is there, you got the big dry erase board or whatever, and it's just talk. Okay.
Heck yeah, bro. Yeah, like the biggest thing that we do is I'm the commissioner of this league. This is my home league, so I'm the commissioner. And the biggest thing every year around this time, I start scoping out online for draft boards and draft kits. Mm-hmm. And a draft board comes with a draft kit comes with the board. It comes with the stickers. and dry erase marker for those people that sometimes pick a player that don't have stickers on it. So that happens, and it's fun to see that. But yeah, dude, we always try to do a in-person draft. Last year, though, we had a lot of scheduling conflicts and weren't able to. Yeah, for the most part, it's on and popping when it's online. On live. And man, dude, it turns into a just raucous, crazy time. We don't end it until about 2-3 in the morning because your boys got to put all the players in the system and see what everybody's points are looking like. So it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. We've had some times where we go on a remote location. One time we went to a hotel about 2 hours away and just hung out, did a little bit of gambling, had a really good dinner, and then drafted that night. And then a couple times we drafted at the restaurant. It's just really fun, man, being together. A lot of times this is the only time we're able to see each other, because you got 12 guys, and it's really it, man. So it's kind of like the holidays, sometimes you got family and friends that you only can see during that time of the year. Same thing with these guys. It's only this time of year that we're able to really see each other.
For sure. All right, let's talk some ball for a little bit. How important is the wide receiver position the most important position in fantasy across all type leagues?
I'll tell you what, man, it's becoming very important, but it also depends, guys. It always depends on your scoring system, your rules.
Okay.
That is the number one thing that I can tell you to look into. So first of all, find out your rules and your scoring system. So in my scoring system that I'm a part of, PPR is the main thing. The other thing is, and what PPR is points per reception. So another thing too is you might have some leagues that are tight end premium where you actually get another half a point for a tight end that gets a catch. So you have to know those types of rules. So for me, wide receivers are very important. I actually wrote an article last year where I talked about the 0 RB strategy or theory. And what that is a theory that came out several years ago. And this theory is based on picking wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends first, and wait until around 5, or around round 6, 7, heck, sometimes even 8, and getting your first running back then. And if you look at it, I'm going to tell you this one thing that I did this research last year, and this year it's even crazier. Last year I did the research. In 2005, there was 18 running backs that had touched the ball 20 times or more per game. Last year, or in 2022, there was only 3 running backs that touched the ball 20 times.
And that's including rushing attempts.
That's catching, rushing, that's touching the ball. The ball was in their hands that many times. So there was 3. This past year,
1. Are you serious?
That's crazy. It was the brother of Luke McCaffrey, CMC. He had touched the ball just over 21.
That's crazy.
Just over 21 times a game. And everybody else, no. And if you look back even further into it, Christian McCaffrey missed a game last year. So he actually had under those 21 touches per game, which I think came out to 39 touches. So yeah, that's something you want to look into. Now, another guy that I was high on last year, Rachaad White, who plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he touched the ball around 19 times per game. And he actually beat out Christian McCaffrey in total touches because he played all games last year. So that in and of itself tells you and tells me that the wide receiver or the running back position, you're becoming into more of a committee approach. You got 2-headed monsters, hell, even the 3-headed monsters in some of these teams. We're going to talk a little bit about your Commanders, who is a nice 2-headed monster. You got rid of Antonio Gibson. Now you bring in Austin Eckler. You got B-Rob there, obviously. So, I mean, that tells you a lot of teams, what they're trying to do is they're trying to preserve the running backs, from getting hurt, because we all know it's a grueling. Any position in football is grueling. But
Yeah.
when you're getting beat up by 250, 300-pound men every down, it's that takes a toll on a body. I don't care how strong you are. It takes a toll on a body. So that's why you're seeing more of a committee approach with these running backs. And then again, that's why the wide receiver position, I feel, is one of the most important positions to get.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I know Greg Kellogg. A lot of us know Greg Kellogg, of course.
Yeah.
He came on the Twitter scene like 2 years ago with the whole 300 touch, whatever that rule, running back rule was, and it literally blew everybody away. It literally blew everybody away. And I kind of look at that position, and you look at the wide receivers, because some of these running backs is like those that have more touches are the ones that can actually catch out the backfield. So the passing itself is very, very important. But for the NFC wide receivers, just specifically talking about the NFC wide receivers, of course, Jettis. Like, we probably don't even need to have a conversation about Jettis, right? I mean, the guy played like 6 games, almost had 1,000 yards last year. He's now the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. So that's just what it is. But just give us, a few wide receivers that, if they're there, with the 5th or the 6th pick or whatever, that we need to go ahead and make that call.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, this kid, he got paid in the offseason as well.
Yeah,
he is one of my favorite players to actually watch. And the thing is, he's not like a fast wide receiver like a Tyreek Hill or maybe even like a Johan Dotson, or you go with you guys. He's not like a blazer, but the dude gets it done. When he gets on the field, he's a baller, and that's what I like about him. He's got that toughness, that grit. Him and Jared Goff have this crazy connection. You would hear people talk about back in the day, like, if you turn the lights out on the stadium, they can complete passes. And it's true. I actually feel like they are on such a level of chemistry that they could do that. It's kind of crazy, kind of like a Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, or now even Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford. It's just, when you have a connection or a chemistry with your wide receiver and it's special like that, it's beautiful to watch, man. So yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown is my guy. Of course, Jay Jettas, of course, CeeDee Lamb. Those guys are like kind of no-brainers. But if there has been some drafts where I've gone past Justin Jefferson because of the simple fact that it's not him, still the quarterback situation. And then you also got Addison in the mix. When TJ Hawkinson gets better, you got him in the mix too. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, I know we got Sam Laporta, but they toss the ball around a lot too. It's going to take a minute for Minnesota, or for their quarterback, to get ironed out, their situation. I know they got Sam Darnold, but it's going to take a little bit of time for them to get on the same page. They're not going to have that chemistry that Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff have built up for years.
And that's another question. Like, how important is the previous year targets? And then you get into the off season. Let's see, who did they sign in free agency? Who did they draft as far as skill position players? Which one of those guys can be a threat, not to like being wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, but just taking 1 or 2 targets from those guys as you're going into the next year? Like, how much of a process is that, especially in dynasty or probably redraft or whatever, when you're looking at grabbing these top wide receivers, and they have a supporting cast. They might got a running back, that was good in college, catching out the backfield, that they look to, whatever the case may be. So, like, how do you kind of like take all of that into consideration?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want I would say a receiver or a team where you're going to have a balanced approach. But you want to have that number 1 guy. And last year, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 119 catches. So that tells me right then and there, first of all, that is Jared Goff's first read. Now it might come down a little bit because you have Sam Laporta, You have Jamison Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be coming off and doing his thing this year.
He should be fully healthy now.
Yeah, you got Jamar Gibbs who can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
So you want to look at a situation where you're going to have a team that is going to be passing the ball a lot. Another thing you want to look at, and a lot of people started talking about, is the defense too. So if you have a team that doesn't have that great of a defense, and look at what the Detroit Lions deficiency was last year, it was on the defensive end. That's why you got into a lot of shootouts. That's why you got a lot of points from them, because their offense will score a touchdown, score them in bunches, but their defense can't stop a nosebleed. So, now they got to keep scoring to keep up, with the team. So that's another thing you want to look at too. You want to look at teams for fantasy. You want to look at teams that their defense I'm not going to say is bad, but their defense has been lacking year over year. Now, what I will say is the Detroit Lions have upgraded on their defense. So now they're starting to notice, hey, we need to figure out this defensive situation. So, you might have situations where their defense may be better this year. So they're able to stop other teams, and their players may not be able to go up. But I will say this, man, there are just certain receivers, Amon-Ra being one of those, Scary Terry being another one too, man. A lot of people thought he had a down year last year, and maybe he did from a touchdown standpoint, but he still had 1,000 yards, man. He still did his thing. I really am big on Scary Terry this year, man. I think Terry McLaurin is gonna look. The best thing that happened to
we're gonna end the show with the good stuff. We're gonna end the show with the good stuff. We're gonna end and we got a few more minutes. We're gonna end the show with the good stuff. Before we get to Terry and Jahan, what about any of the rookie wide receivers from this draft in the NFC?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about you could talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. all you want, man. Like I think the dude is. I'm not gonna use that G word that everybody likes to use. I'm not gonna do it, but this dude is close to it. He's special, but this is my thing. And I had a debate with somebody last week about it. You also have Trey McBride over there, a really good tight end.
Yeah.
You've got Wilson over there, who did his thing last year as far as a wide receiver. So you've got mouths that you have to feed. You got Greg Dortch there. My guy that I'm really, 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 really fired up about is Malik Neighbors. Just for the simple fact is Darren Waller just announced that he is supposedly retiring. I don't know what the dude is making music now. His football is not his.
That's what you call it.
Football is not his number one thing.
Yeah, right. And now. you cannot play this sport if you're not 100%.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, somebody literally died on the field a couple years ago. Like you cannot play this sport if you're not 100%.
No, yeah, and so for me, it's Malik Neighbors. We're gonna stay in the NFC. We're gonna stay in the NFC East. It's Malik Neighbors, man. I think this kid has got that special, that twitch, that wiggle that I've been seeing in his games, on his tapes. He's got that thing. Now here's the thing. He's got Danny Dimes throwing him the ball, right? But I really feel like if Danny Dimes can lock in on him, then he can really do some damage. Now there is a crazy stat that's going on out there that Daniel Jones has never produced a top 25 wide receiver. When they're a top wide receiver.
Yeah, because he doesn't throw the ball down the field.
He doesn't throw the ball down the field, but I'll argue with you, other than Jalen Wyatt and Malik Neighbors, come on now, that you can't even compare those two.
I mean, Jalen Hyatt could have had a crazy year last year if he just threw the ball.
If he threw the ball, So my thing is, I think Neighbors is the guy that I'm going to go after. Again, I remember I told you, when everybody else is going one way, I go the complete opposite, just because that's worked for me in the past. But I'm not going to take away from Marvin Harrison Jr. at all. If by any means, if he's there, get him. But I just really, really, really like Malik Neighbors, since we're talking straight NFC East. And then another guy too, Johnny Wilson, this kid from Philly. 6'6", slot guy.
And that's and so
Scary.
that's kind of the thing where you think about targets because Devonta and AJ, man, they take up
Yep,
a chunk of targets.
yep. But I will say this:
Mm.
AJ Brown last year got banged up, had a knee injury.
Yeah, it's true. Yep.
That those types of things, those are the things that you also got to remember too. You don't necessarily want to look at the injury, but what type of injury was it?
Yeah.
Devontae Smith had a couple of banged up injuries where he just was nicked up here and there. He's thin, he's a wiry guy, so he's gonna get nicked up through the course of the season. AJ Brown is a strong, Hulk-like type looking dude. But I will say this, man, he had that knee injury. I think he's gonna fully recover. But I'm telling you, this Johnny Wilson guy is somebody that I'm really looking at. I'm really liking because for the simple fact, if one of these guys was to go down, now look at it. And you can get Johnny Wilson like late. Now maybe not in a rookie draft or a redraft, but in a rookie or a dynasty, but in a redraft, you could get him really late, man.
For sure. All right. Let's talk about what's up, dog, Mac? Let's talk about the Commanders wide receiver room. Overall, how do you look? I mean, you have Terry, you have Jahan, you have Luke, you have Diami, you got Kaiser Allen, you got Dax Milne, you got the guy they picked up, I can't pronounce his name. You have him. So a lot of people say it's top heavy. Some say it's some Terry, whatever. How do you look at that wide receiver, especially like look at fantasy when it comes to like Terry and Jahan?
Yeah, I mean, those are your dogs, right? We've seen what Jahan, I like to call him J Dot. We see what he does. Scary Terry, we've seen what he can do. Luke McCaffrey, I think he's going to be a direct replacement of Samuel. So because he can kind of do it all. He does a little bit of. He can line him up almost anywhere.
Yeah, been in the backfield the last 2 days.
Yeah, he's kind of that guy that can do it all. I will say this: Cliff Kingsbury is going to try and stretch out the field. So that's another neat thing that's going to happen with you guys is he's going to stretch this field out and try to create open lanes and put a lot of pressure on defenses, make defenses go man to man. So I love Terry McLaurin. A lot of people are going to say he's a bounce back year. I don't think he had a bad year last year, but I think when you drafted him, you probably were a little disappointed. So I think he gets back to 1,200 yards, closer to double-digit touchdowns, but not quite because you got Jahan Dotson there. You got these nice running back pairs that you got. And then you got Luke McCaffrey. De'Ami Brown, I like him. Not for fantasy. I think he's more of a guy that's going to help stretch the field, but also help blocking as well. So I'm really into those guys, but you don't get points in fantasy for blocking. Yeah. So that's something that you got to be careful with when you're drafting him. But as far as J Dot, look, we've seen this dude. He's not a big guy. I mean, he's 5'11". He's a decent sized guy, but he's not a big body guy. But he plays big when he gets down there in the red zone, and that's what I like about him. Is I think that once they get acclimated with the quarterback situation, Jaden, man, I think you guys hit a lick. That was a beautiful pick to me because that's what Kingsbury is going to try to do. Spread this team out. Look at what they did whenever they were whenever he was coaching the Cardinals. And what he did was he spread them out. And then you got these little running lanes that Jaden Daniels can run through now. Right. And these running backs can run through. So it's going to be really cool to see, man. I love his touch on the ball when he throws it as well. So I'm all in on Terry McLaurin. I'm all in on J Dot. I'm all in on Luke McCaffrey as well. I think it's just going to take a year or two. I don't think it's going to be very consistent. But I will tell you, man, this offense is going in the right direction.
I like it, man. I can't wait to see what they do. So I probably didn't tell you this, but I'm going to ask you to rank the wide receivers in the NFC East.
Okay, so for me, it's still going to be CD. CeeDee Lamb is the guy.
He gets crazy targets, man.
Crazy targets, crazy chemistry. We talked about chemistry earlier. Crazy chemistry with Dak. I mean, the dude, if he really wanted to, the dude could probably get 15 to 20 targets a game.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but I mean, that's not realistic in this day of football, but it's pretty damn close with him. And then you got AJ Brown. The size speed combination. The dude is lights out, man. When it comes to that. Now this is where I get like, okay, I could go Malik Neighbors, but you know what, man? I still like Scary Terry. I'm gonna go Scary Terry next, man. He's easily, I think a guy who could push AJ Brown, depending on this knee injury. He could definitely push AJ Brown. I don't see him pushing CD because, again, you got to deal with the chemistry that Jaden Daniels has to get or form with Scary Terry. But I think that Scary Terry could possibly push AJ Brown, for targets, for points, for all of it. And then after that, I'm gonna go Malik Neighbors. I'm really big on this kid, man. I am. And then I'm gonna go Devontae Smith. We'll go Devontae Smith. Johan Dotson is my next guy. And then, we'll go back to the Cowboys because Brandon Cooks, I looked at this the other day. I didn't know he was only 31 years old. I swear I thought he was like 36.
He's been traded 22 times.
Bro, like the dude has been in the league. I swear I thought he was in the league like 20 years. I was like, damn, the dude's only 31. I was like, okay,
it's crazy, man.
He's got some more life.
He's always a sugar in every trade, bro.
Right. Yeah, so I'll still go him. And then, just for like honorable mentions, we can talk a little bit. We can go back to New York and we can talk a little bit about either Wando Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, one of those two guys. Danny Dimes doesn't like to push the ball down the field for whatever reason because he has a strong arm. Yeah. So I'm going to say Wando Robinson. Let's kind of stick with him. Then we'll bring up Luke McCaffrey at the end just because he's a rookie. He's still learning the system. But I will say he's got the pedigree. The dude looks just like his dad, first of all. Christian McCaffrey looks nothing like his dad. But Luke McCaffrey looks just like his dad. And so he's got the pedigree. He's got a brother in the league that is going to teach him the ropes. He's a smart kid. He's out of Rice. So I do feel like he could leap over, though Wando Robinson or Jalen Hyatt easily. It's just going to take a little bit of time because it's a new offense, getting acclimated to it, new quarterback. He's getting acclimated to the NFL. He might hold on to the ball a little bit longer. He might start doing his, thing, running the football. So, that's that. Those are my ranked out guys.
Yeah, man. I love it. Tip, man, I definitely appreciate you for joining, man. We're definitely going to have you back later in the off season as things start shaking out. We might even talk a little bit about the Raiders. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you know what, man? You know what? I'm going to say one thing right now. This Brock Bowers disrespect, not from you guys. I got a friend. I'm not even going to say his name because we did a podcast actually, and he was disrespecting my Brock Bowers. We did a rookie draft, and he had Brock Bowers. I'm not gonna cuss on your show, but he had Ladd McConkey ahead of Brock Bowers. He had Jonathan Brooks ahead of Brock Bowers. I said, that's how crazy. Can you do this, man? I said, we need to stop right now, pause, restart the show because after Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, maybe Brian Thomas, I'm talking just rookies, you got to consider Brock Bowers. The
most
disrespect,
definitely.
The blatant disrespect for my Raiders and Brock Bowers has got to stop, man. It's got to stop, and it will stop. It will stop, and I will continue to look. I'm probably gonna make a video tonight about it because I've been getting upset here in these spaces and talking people just really not giving the Raiders the respect that they deserve. And I know they haven't earned it, and we got to earn it. I get it. You guys, same thing. You guys are trying to earn that respect. But, man, I will say this. We coming. We coming. Just win, baby.
That's it. Just win. All right. Yeah, we appreciate you. Please put out all your socials, all your content. Tip for anyone that's watching that can follow.
Yeah, at Tipp Major. That's really the best way to follow me on X right now. I'm starting to get into this Discord thing, although it's Discord. I thought X was jumbled up. Like Discord is even like more jumbled up. I'm like, I
Yeah, I
don't
haven't
know
even.
where everything is
I
it.
mess with
So
it.
I'm learning Discord. I'm on Instagram here and there, Facebook here and there, but Twitter is my mainstay. I just found a home there, and I'm loving it. I'm having a bunch of fun with it. So I am on Thursday Check Down with Greg Kellogg. We have a show tomorrow evening at 6 Eastern time. Um, Actually, I take that back. 7 Eastern time. It's 6 Central. 7 Eastern time. And then I have another space that I'll be. So if you guys want to come chop it up with the Rip and Tip show, we talk fantasy football. We talk football. We just chop it up. We do a space this Thursday at 9 p.m. I also, when the season starts, I'll be doing a space with Bob Harris of Football Guys, and that'll be every Monday. And we get you geared up for the week and for the the Monday night game. We always talk about that. I also do content creation for the Cookout team slash the 32-bit.
I
That's
love
what
that
Marcus
name.
Grant. Yeah, that right there is really cool. We got some things cooking too. Since it's called the Cookout, we got some things cooking. So keep a lookout for that. That's what Marcus Grant. But yeah, man, I've got my hands in a lot of different like jars, cookie jars or whatever. And man, I'm having a blast with it, man. And again, I really appreciate you, Redzone in the Lab, for having me come on. Can I give my quick prediction of what I think is going to happen with your Commanders though?
Yep.
I got them as a 7-win team, bro.
Okay.
Not that I'm disrespecting, because like, bro, in that division, I can't stand the Eagles. I can't stand the Cowboys. The Giants, I'm kind of like whatever. I see you guys as an up and up team, but I think it's going to take some time. I love the hire Dan Quinn. I love that you guys brought in Wagner. He's going to help these young defensive kids learn this defense, learn how Dan Quinn is. So I'm excited for you guys. I'm going to be really, really watching the Commanders close this season because, man, you guys got some. I would say in the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to be giving these Eagles and I think the Cowboys are going to take a step back too. You're going to be giving these teams a run for their money, man. I think the Commanders are starting to come back, man.
I appreciate that. That. Look, I ain't got no beef, man. I ain't got no beef, man. But definitely appreciate you.
Yeah.
Definitely appreciate you coming on. We definitely appreciate all of you for listening. The Redzone DC Media, where we do it because we love it. We advise you, whatever it is that you do it only because you love it. Because if you want it to love you, you're not going to give it your all. Love yourself, love others. It's Deuce, and I'm out.